License to live navigating Montana. Life as a non-driver. Anna Streit. I have to schedule what I want and need to do around other people's schedules. Julian Missoula, Montana. The year I turned 13 was the year everyone started talking about driving. We still had a few years and a driver's ed course between us and that plastic rectangle. But that didn't stop my friends from expressing their excitement to have the freedom of operating a vehicle. One friend wanted to drive herself to the movies, another couldn't wait to get a job and have spending money, and a third wanted to go on dates without a chaperone. We all lived in a rural area where walking simply wasn't an option, and public transportation wasn't even a consideration unless you had a scheduled trip with the local paratransit bus to one of the few public locations it frequented. Well, the years passed, and I started learning to drive with my parents. I never enjoyed being behind the wheel, not even in the beginning, but I was able to manage until the car accident. I wasn't driving that day, I was just a passenger. But something about crawling out of the shattered windows of an upside-down vehicle really imprinted itself into my psyche. For the next decade, I would experience debilitating panic attacks anytime I got behind the wheel. I wasn't alone in my status as a non-driver. Roughly 1/4 of the American population can't legally drive. That number, of course, includes children who are too young to drive, as well as adults living in large metropolitan areas who choose not to have a driver's license because they don't need it to get around. Knowing that many other people don't or can't drive did very little to mitigate my feelings of isolation or my feelings of being a failure because my brain didn't allow me to do something that is so normalized in our culture that it has become essential to participating in our culture. Those feelings were often reinforced by conversations I had with other adults, in which my lack of a driver's license was often met with shock, laughter, or even pity. When you live in an area that is not walkable and has little to no public transit, your ability or inability to drive a car impacts every single facet of life. I often can't keep a job because I can't drive to work. Anonymous MT. Moving from rural Virginia to Helena, Montana, took me from an existence that relied entirely on other people to give me rides places to a city where I could walk most of the places I needed to go. While this was a huge improvement, I was still limited for things like work or going shopping. I could walk from my college campus to a nearby grocery store, but was still limited to the amount of groceries I could carry home. I could walk to a number of bars downtown, but was limited by the fact that I would have to walk home after dark as a woman. I was also limited by our lovely Montana weather. Several feet of snow, icy sidewalks, and negative temperatures all impact what is walkable. After graduation, I moved out of the city and lived with friends in the Helena Valley. It became quickly apparent that my inability to drive was the main factor in my struggle to find a job. I am incredibly fortunate and privileged to have been able to mitigate some of my driving PTSD and anxiety through therapy and medication, to the point where I finally did get my driver's license and a car. Bicycle lanes and walking lanes are vital to city planning. Harry Warm Springs, Montana driving is still tough for me. On a rough mental health day, I will still cancel plans, skip class, or order food delivery rather than go to the grocery store. If there was reliable and safe public transportation in Helena, I would feel much more confident in my ability to fully participate in my community and even in my friend group without having to worry about all of the things about driving that trigger my anxiety. In this country, and especially in rural areas, it often feels like a driver's license isn't just a license to operate a motor vehicle, it's a license to live your life the way you want to live it. I've used public transit in a number of major cities, both here in the US and abroad. I love the freedom I have in those cities to choose where and when I want to go somewhere without having to worry about traffic, parking, or gas. But I don't want to live in those cities. even though it would make my life considerably easier in terms of getting around. I love Montana, and I love the community here. I just wish that we all had the same freedom to participate in our community. Bus systems need to be more flexible. Randall Great Falls, Montana. It's clear that public transportation needs to be improved. It is also clear, at least to the people that rely on public transportation to get around, that the majority of drivers have no idea how privileged they are to have the freedom they have. This is the idea behind the Week Without Driving Challenge. The organizers of the challenge say they created it so that those who have the option to drive can learn firsthand about the barriers and challenges that non-drivers face and work with non-drivers to create more accessible communities for all.